Paramount President could be forced out. And the man suing him just escalated things in a new interview. This could seriously mess up the Warner Bros. Merger. Jeff Shell is currently in talks about a possible exit from Paramount, where he currently serves as president. These talks have come about during a messy legal battle with R J Cipriani. Now, if you've been following my content, you would have remembered me talking about R J Cipriani and what the lawsuit against Jeff Shell was all really about. As a reminder, R J Cipriani is the professional gambler that's currently claiming he's owed $150 million from Jeff Shell for crisis communication services. He also claimed that Jeff Shell shared confidential information about Paramount Skydance during their business together. An internal investigation into Jeff Shell's involvement with R J Cipriani will be made in the coming weeks, and from there, a final decision on Jeff Shell's status of his job will be made. This is looking really bad for Jeff Shell and ultimately Paramount as well, because Jeff has actually had other allegations against him before his tenure at Paramount. Prior to Paramount, Jeff used to be CEO of NBC Universal from 2019 to 2023 until he was fired after an internal investigation found out that he engaged in an inappropriate relationship with an employee. This employee filed a complaint against Jeff for sexual harassment and sex discrimination. On top of that, he's known to be quite canny and abrasive. He's reportedly been clashing with other members of Paramount's leadership team. It's been said that if he does eventually step down as president at Paramount, he'll probably take a more different, more low-key advisory role, which I expect because I don't know what other company is going to quickly snap him up at this time. Let's just see how this internal investigation goes in the next few weeks, because it just doesn't sound like he's going to be staying too long. And it just doesn't look good for the Warner Bros. Merger that one of their senior board members is already on his way out and the merger isn't even complete, which has now been said that it's supposed to be complete in July. Speaking of R J Cipriani, he isn't done with the Paramount president Jeff Shell just yet, and his latest interview just changes things. The Hollywood Reporter came out with a very detailed background history of R J Cipriani and how he got to his gambling ways in the first place, but it also was able to capture his updated views on the latest lawsuit he has against Jeff Shell. R J Cipriani expressed that at first Jeff Shell was quite serious about his Star Serenade show proposal, even suggesting how to navigate Paramount's development process, but in the end, he strung me along. We didn't even have the first meeting. What he did was an oral contract. Cipriani has been described by Larry Mullen, a gaming executive who has actually had to enforce casino bans against Cipriani, as very aggressive, very competitive. If you cross him, he takes it personally, sometimes too personally. Thus, it appears that with this type of temperament, R J Cipriani will certainly hold a vendetta against Jeff Shell, and will expect a very satisfying compensation package for his dealings with him, i.e. the $150 million. I personally don't think that Jeff stepping down is going to be enough for Cipriani. Cipriani ends with a quote, which pretty much gives the best insight into him as a person. He says, "I'm very sure of myself and my qualifications. I thought I could dazzle him," Jeff Shell. "I always hoped he'd recognize my value. I did it on spec. I manifested it. I do that a lot. I was gambling here with what I could do for the president of Paramount. It might sound strange, but that's how I live my life. Manifesting." Let's see how this investigation turns out in the next few weeks. On the same subject of this Paramount-Warner Bros. Deal, the CEO of Cinema United, Michael O'Leary, has some strong words against this merger in favour of theatres and cinemas. He fired off a letter to several attorneys general associations saying, "I strongly urge you to thoroughly investigate and move to block this proposed merger to ensure it does not harm competition or our local communities." While it is informally known that a merger of this magnitude will mean fewer jobs, less choices for moviegoers, higher ticket prices, increased leverage rental terms on cinemas by studios, potential multiplex closings and depleting ticket sales, the Cinema United CEO believes that the results of this merger would not be any different to the potential outcomes just mentioned. He writes, "Our members' theatres are Main Street businesses, not Hollywood businesses. A thriving theatre anchors foot traffic, supports nearby small businesses, and keeps local dollars in our local communities. Recent research shows that for each dollar spent in a local movie theatre, an additional $1.50 is spent in surrounding businesses in the community. That is a strong stance, so that's hard to argue against, and I do feel for theatre owners as a cinema lover myself. We don't entirely know the full outcome of this merger, and David Ellison, the Paramount CEO, is adamant about releasing 30 films a year. So at this time, from the perspective of a cinema enthusiast and from the perspective of the theatre owners, we can only hope that he comes through on his word. The shareholder meeting, where Warner Bros shareholders will take a vote on a Paramount takeover, is taking place on April 23rd. We'll be waiting to see what the deciding vote will do and the effect it will have on theatre owners in the medium to long term. A small update on the Jonathan Majors movie produced by the Daily Wire. It doesn't seem like it's going too well. Jonathan Majors and his co-star JC Kilcoyne apparently fell out of a window while filming on set. This has led to heightened safety concerns, leading to half the crew going on strike against production. So crew members have said the incident was barely acknowledged, fueling more frustration over unsafe and chaotic conditions. Although representatives for Jonathan Majors have not made any comments, representatives for JC Kilcoyne say he's doing very well and he was taken care of immediately. Now, what was weird about this story for me was how the Daily Wire producers responded when asked to comment about the strike. They apparently retorted back saying, "We don't negotiate with communists." Like, what kind of inconsiderate response is that? Just no thought or care at all for the people that are filming with you and your cast and crew members? This movie better be worth it, because putting people's lives at risk for a movie flop is only going to make them lose their credibility. And on a side note, I'm so glad Candace doesn't work with them anymore, but that's just a different conversation altogether. That's all I have for you for TWIF This Week in Film. If you like film industry news and you are following along on this Paramount-Warner Bros merger journey, feel free to subscribe and keep up with me as I follow the story. We can discuss it together as we find out more. Please like the video if you got this far, and I will see you in the comments.